And I spoke about their dad to the children, really, just about his sense of humor and how clever he was and things that, and I read them something special that he had written for me before all of this happened, just to show the kind of person that he actually was and that I wanted them to remember. And I didn't know if it would be helpful or not, but it was something I really, really wanted to do for them. And then I left. And then many years later, for whatever reason, I was in the city at night, which doesn't happen often. I'm not a party goer or anything. And but I was there for some reason, and this person like came up to me, jumped over and like gave me a big hug, and it was his daughter, who was pretty grown up then. And she said, "You know what you did in the church that day changed my life." And I didn't have to feel guilty about what my dad did because I knew you'd forgiven him. And I think that's the power of forgiveness, of yourself and of other people. It doesn't hold you back from living your life fully. I don't like the idea of hardening and putting walls up and expecting the world to is all like that, you know. I understand there's a much duality in this world, and there's a lot of kindness too, and I think I want to be an example of what that can also be.
Wow, what a story. It's a it's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that, because I think it teaches such an important principle of forgiveness and how you can find it within yourself.
Well,
Because there would be a lot of reasons not to, and that people would resist that forgiveness. And wow, thank you for sharing that.
well, I'll tell you something beautiful that happened out of that. So when I was living in Christchurch, it was actually the day before the second big earthquake, a new friend had come down, and I was talking to her about the car accident. By that time, my son Rama was 3 years old. And I'd never talked to him about it. It wasn't something I thought about telling my children at, so young. And he was spying on me whilst I was having this conversation with this woman. And when I finished talking and telling her, I didn't go into all the details, but I told her about the accident. And my son Rama, he jumped out of his hiding place. He jumped up onto my lap in front of us all. And he said, "I remember that, Mummy. I remember the window wipers and the tires, and I came down out of the clouds and I went like this and I saved you. And when I knew you were okay, I climbed back up the ladder into the clouds." And it was so matter of fact. And even to the details I never even talked about the window wipers. It had started to rain. And so there were things about that was so special. So, I woke up, and these doctors said I had showers of blood clots in my lungs. And so I did warfarin for a few months until they said that my chest was clear. They would have preferred it if I had continued on, but I really, really knew my body could heal. And of course, it's each and every person's individual decision to decide what they're going to do with their body. I'm not giving any medical advice, but I decided that I was going to become as healthy as I could with all the most natural ways. And so I spoke to a friend of mine. I stopped taking the warfarin, and he was a medical doctor but practiced Ayurvedic medicine. He said to me, "If you can find a natural, emphasis on natural, not ionized, natural source of alkaline water, it might be able to help stabilize your body." So
Interesting.
I thought, oh, that's interesting. Water, well, there's plenty of that, and there's plenty of alkaline water in New Zealand. Most of our springs are alkaline.
Mm-hmm.
So I started trialing myself on 2-week trials. And other than feeling hydrated, I didn't really notice anything particularly much. By this time, I'd established a wellness center because I have some gifts of healing. And a client came and said, "I know this guy. He's giving water to cancer patients. He's got his own private aquifer, and it's 9.9 out of the ground, and maybe you could try it." So I was like, sure. I told him what my
Now,
story,
what is 9.9 out of the ground refer to?
the pH, so
pH level. Mm-hmm.
hydrogen. And so I thought, well, that seems pretty high. But if there was a lot of people seemingly having a lot of success stories with it, and so, well, I've got nothing to lose. I'll do it for a couple of weeks and see how it goes. Within 3 days of drinking it, we thought we turned those notifications off, but clearly it's not still going.
The universe just gave you another cue, though, I think, with that.
I think I think so. So within 3 days, I noticed a change in something so many people don't want to talk about, but it's such an indicator of our internal health, and that is bowel motions. So, things started to move pretty well. But after bowel surgery, I'm like, oh, well, here is something that is an obvious indicator of that there is some change. This is good. But on day 10, I noticed something really interesting. There were all these bumps that had come up on my arm and jaw that were really painful. And I was like, what's going on? I know my body's purging, but I didn't know what. And as gross as it sounds, there was this little bit of bump that was so sharp, and it felt just so sharp that I ended up getting some tweezers. I felt like there was something in there, and I pulled out this little bit of green glass. And between day 10 and 12, I pulled 27 pieces of green glass out of this side of my body. And they had been embedded in my body for 20 years, and they were from the car accident. The man who
All
died.
right, so I got to get some alkaline water.
Well, this was a very interesting, specific water, and that's what led me on to asking a lot of questions, as you would. And so the guy who died, he had crates of Steinlager beer in the back of his car, which are green glass lager, green glass. And so when the car rolled, this side of my body got a lot of that kind of shattered glass, and this side got more windscreen. And so I'm like, how is it that this glass has been in there all this time? All I'm doing is drinking this water, and I'm purging like this. How is this possible? So I went straight to an analysis, which is, of course, what you would look at. So why is its pH so high? And